Lily's effect on me was immense.
She made me work big, where I had been doing little tiddly bits of sculpture and everything small. And Billy said, no, go for it, go big, you know. And that has been a huge influence on my life.
Back in 1960, I first met her, and I always knew her as a window dresser.
Mr. Tatum came out in assembly and said there would be these sculpture classes on Saturdays. And I was just, wow. And I went, and there were, because of segregation, we would never have met up, a lot of the people in that class.
She would have made me feel good about what I had.
What Billy has left is an amazing living legacy, in that we all come together to basically confirm what she was and is still in our community.
Billy was a true sculptor.
I was just a small boy in my teens, an older boy at the cathedral at the time. And I could recall her many nights or hours a night working there diligently to get the contract done.
She would come and say, well, do this and put her fingers in it and stuff like that.
In the 20 years she lived in Bermuda, sculptor Billy Lang built a reputation for being a creative dynamo and a woman who lived life to the full. She taught art classes, and she lent her costume making and set design talents to theatrical productions. All of this in addition to sculpting, her life's work. To quote Andrew Trimmingham, her friend and artistic executor, Lang was the godmother of every artistic endeavor going. Her most important artistic achievement was the Anglican Cathedral Reredos. The Reredos, along with her other surviving works, comprise her tangible legacy. Then there is her intangible legacy. She taught and inspired a generation of artists, black and white, wealthy, working class, and in between. Generous with her time and talents, she waived fees for promising students who couldn't afford to pay. Artists who hold her in high regard represent a broad cross-section of Bermudian society.
I think that Billy was probably a bridge between my childhood and maturity. I was very young for my age. I was just playing, doing little tiny bits and things like this, sort of on the living room floor and things. And I signed up for her sculpture classes, and going there, I got enthused because we were doing really big stuff with masses of wet clay and things like that. And also this made me see that my art could be something more than just a childish game, but could become something very central to my life. And I think Billy saw that too, and she knew that I was just wasting my time at home. I'd graduated from school. My sister had gone away. My parents were very happy to have me at home. They didn't want me to go away, which seems strange in these days where all parents try to push their children to the highest levels of education. My parents were perfectly happy to let me drift, and Billy saw that I was not happy, and she gave me a lot of her time. She was such a real person. She was what she was, and that was it. No sort of face on it, or she was lovely, lovely person.
Her studio was a gathering place for artists of the day. She presided over the gatherings with a cigarette in one hand and a rum or scotch in the other. Those who were part of those soirees say they were so special that 40 years after Lang's death, nothing has emerged to replace them. Over and above all this was Lang's refusal to allow the racial boundaries of the period to impinge on her world. Segregation was the order of the day when she lived in Bermuda. Her commitment to racial equality was unquestioned. While blacks and whites attended segregated schools elsewhere in Bermuda, They sat side by side in her classes. Carlos Downing, a black Bermudian whom she took under her wing when he was a teenager, and later became a potter and sculptor largely because of her influence, said Lang truly did not see color.
At the time that she came into my life and house, she influenced my development as an individual, as well as an artisan. And I was by her side just about every day for the 4.5 years. So she gave me all that she had to give and all that I was prepared to absorb, even in spite of the fact that the society at the time segregated you because of your color.
For a transplanted Bermudian and a woman who became a sculptor, Lang had the unlikeliest of upbringings. She was a rancher's daughter, raised in Alberta, Canada. Lang's formal art education started in 1926 at the Winnipeg School of Art. Lack of sculpture courses in Winnipeg led her to the Ontario College of Art. She did more study in Munich and Berlin, traveled extensively, had many commissions, but also encountered the headwinds of war. Lang was in Berlin when Hitler came to power, and she witnessed acts of anti-Semitism that greatly disturbed her. Lang resumed her career in Winnipeg. In 1936, she established the Demarin School of Sculpture, and in 1940, she joined the staff of the Winnipeg School of Art, where she taught sculpture for 3 years. Her celebrated sculpture, a relief entitled Coal Miners, led to a job with Canadian National Railways in Montreal. In 1945, she came to Bermuda from New York. Like countless visitors, Lang fell in love with Bermuda. By 1946, she was living here permanently. She befriended the Cooper brothers, arts patrons Sir Gilbert, a Hamilton mayor, and Arthur. They rented her studio space in their department store, A.S. Cooper's, and later hired her to be a window dresser. In 1948, she began teaching sculpture to children at the Bermuda Art Association's New Art School at Hamilton Hotel. She created prize-winning window displays for the Cooper stores in Hamilton and spectacular floats for the annual floral pageant. In 1954, A.S. Cooper's float, entitled Surf Riding, decorated with 16,000 Easter lilies, won the top prize. She eventually left Cooper's and opened her own studio, where she taught adults and children and was free to work full-time on her sculptures. Lang's life was a whirlwind of artistic activity. She was a member of the Bermuda Society of Arts, and she worked on Bermuda Musical and Dramatic Society theater productions. In 1958, she received her biggest commission at the Anglican Cathedral. It was a mammoth project that was launched with great fanfare. The central figure of Christ was installed and dedicated in July 1962 amid a blaze of publicity by Bishop Anthony Williams, who had commissioned the project, and 7 more statues were in place by December the same year. Throughout this, she was helping to nurture a generation of artists. In December 1966, Lang died of a heart attack 1 day before her 58th birthday. That her death was front-page news was an indication of her standing in the Bermuda community. Lang once told a reporter that she did not think there was much artistic impulse among Bermudians. She worked hard to uncover it. She moved among people at all levels of society and brought together people who wouldn't otherwise have met, said Georgine Hill, an artist and a founder of the Bermuda Art Association. As Bermuda still grapples with the legacy of racial inequality, it is as much for her artistic genius as it is for her humanity that Lang is being remembered and honored with this exhibition.